Hi, I'm Parmy, and in today's video we go behind the scenes into how I created the 4 front covers for Tiger Dragon the Rebirth Kickstarter campaign, helping you to design the best front cover for your comic. So let's dive into the design of the front cover here of the book Tiger Dragon the Rebirth. Let's go over the reasons why I decided to design the book like this, where the layout is and everything, and hopefully give you some insights regarding that so you can create the best front cover for your book. So as I was creating this book, I was doing a lot of research, obviously looking at the books that I like from Marvel, from DC, from all the different independent comic book creators, seeing what they did, seeing what the patterns are, seeing what you would expect from front cover, and then obviously implementing that into my front cover. On the top left, I went with the publisher logo. So in this case, that would be like Marvel or DC would have their logo here, or any independent cover publisher would have their logo at the top left here. So I went with that. Then we've got the Tiger Dragon the Rebirth title here in contrasting colors, so it stands out here. So we've got the kind of white, very, very light background here of the sun. And then we've got the darker color here to contrast here. Then we've got the specific font as well, giving you an indication of where the book is set or what it's about. So from this, hopefully the reader will gather that the story is set in Japan or using Eastern mythology, right? That's what it's all about. So hopefully you can get that from that font there. And then we move on to the main cover here, the main page. Our protagonist here, Ayame, where we have this fantastic cover here, this fantastic artwork here, which I'm really, really happy with. And the whole purpose of this, I decided to go with this image here, is because this is a pivotal moment of the book where Ayame finally gets her Kami powers. She finally lets the Kami access to the Kami powers. Is not afraid of it anymore. Decided to accept that she's got this power and then use it to go and save her brother and everybody else in this story. So that's why I decided to go with this. Obviously, there's a lot of symbolism here with the sunlight and everything, which you'll learn more as we go through this creator's commentary. But I really like the way the hair is here as well. We've got the kind of like the water droplets coming in because she's just come out of the water, right? And then we've got the orange glowing eyes here. And then we've got this bruise here as well. So the main purpose of this kind of like this front cover is to give the potential reader asking themselves, start to ask questions, right? So they're looking at this image here, thinking like, oh, why is this character's orange eyes glowing orange? Why is like this sun here? Why does she have a bruise here? This is interesting to me. What's happened to this person? What is their story? I need to find out more. Let me go grab the book. Let me go turn the page, and let me go and read this story. So that's what the whole kind of main purpose of this story is to get the potential reader to at least have a look, start asking questions. And when you start asking questions, you have an open loop, right? You need to answer that question, right? Your brain's like, I need to know the answer. So they're more likely to turn the page and read the story. So hopefully that is the reason for creating this front cover. And hopefully that was the main purpose of doing that. And also at the bottom here, very, very quickly before we finish this section, I've just got my name here, right? So the creator's normally name is at the bottom here, Parmy Baden. Obviously, if there's more than one creator, 3, 4, 5 creators, you would have the names at the bottom here. But there you go. That was my kind of like reasoning decisions behind creating this front cover. So let's first dive into the reason why I wanted to create the manga variant cover here. So kind of like the first reason is to differentiate myself from everybody else. So if I'm creating books, comics, what can I do that's going to differentiate myself from every other creator out there, right? So most creators, whether they're indie creators, Western comic book creators, are not going to create a manga variant cover. They're just not going to think about that because that's not something they want to do. It's going to make me stand out from the crowd. The second reason is because my story is set in Japan, and what are Japanese comics called? They're called manga. That's going to lead into my theme of my story, right? The theme that I'm trying to do here is I'm working on Eastern mythology. In this specific case, this story, Japanese mythology. And my character is Japanese. Everything is set in Japan. So why not go all in on the Japanese theme, right? Let's create a manga variant cover here that covers that. So that's what I wanted to do here. So before I created this manga cover, I had to do my research. I don't know anything right about manga covers, like what they look like. I do have books that I have that I've read, so I can show you them right now. So these are these books here. I've got Spy X Family Volume 1, Demon Slayer Volume 1, and Jujutsu Kaisen Volume 1 as well. And as you can see, these are the English versions, right? Because I've got the English names here at the top here. But you get a sense of what the front cover looks like for a Japanese comic, right? What is it, Japanese manga? What does it look like here? And you can see here, it's pretty static. There's not much happening, right? There's a bit of emotions here and a little bit here. And this is just like Lloyd here, just sitting here reading a newspaper. But there's not much going on. It's not very dynamic per se. So I thought, okay, this is what the English version of the manga cover looks like. What does the actual Japanese version look like? What's the difference? So let's go and have a look at those here. So here on the right, we've got the Japanese version here as well. So we've got the Spy X Family here version. And then we've got the Japanese writing here as well, kanji here. And then we've got the Demon Slayer version here, where the whole Demon Slayer title is in Japanese here, and then we got Jujutsu Kaisen, which is all in Japanese as well. So I decided, like, okay, see the way that Jujutsu Kaisen have done this and Demon Slayer have done this, I want to do that for my manga variant cover. I want Tiger Dragon the Rebirth translated, and then I want to do it in this format so it stands out, it's different. So that's what I decided to go regarding the title there. So we can go back to here now. So this title here was done by Ramananda on Fiverr. They helped me to create this. So as we were going through the process of creating this, there's obviously an issue to do with translation. So translation, Tiger Dragon the Rebirth, going into Japanese kanji, and the translation needs to be correct here. So I've got the Ramanda to do that translation for me, and there was an issue regarding whether Tiger Dragon was one phrase or two separate phrases, and therefore the translation will be different. So that's something you need to be mindful about when doing translation, is to make sure you have the right person who's going to help you to do that, who knows that language, who could decipher that, and make sure that the title makes sense when they read it out. If it, you know, it's very important to do that. You just don't want anybody doing it. You want someone who's got experience doing that. So this is the format I wanted it in as well. So I looked at that person's collage, they're kind of like previous work. I said, hey, this design here that I've seen here, this is what I would like it to be, and they've gone and created this title for me. And this title is actually created in EPS format, which means that whether I increase the file size, increase the size of the lettering, the font, right, the lettering, or decrease it, it won't lose the resolution. This is very important. So when I was asking for EPS, because I know from previous experience as I'm learning this, that EPS files, they're vector files, which means when you increase the size, you won't get jagged edges, right? You won't get pixelation. Very, very important. So this is something to consider when you're creating titles, when you need to getting artwork from someone, you need to make sure it's in the correct format so you don't lose that resolution, right? Someone just saves it as a JPEG or a PNG, and you're going to increase that file size, you will see pixelations, and you don't want that on your front cover book. It looks really, really bad. You want it to be crisp, you want it to be sharp, and that's what we've got here as well. So I'm very, very happy with this, the way the work is done. So if you are interested in getting your title into Japanese format, into shodo, into Japanese calligraphy, then Ramanda is the person I highly recommend. I'm going to always be using this person for my future work as well. So my future books, I'll be using this artist, right? Because they've done a very, very good job for me. I'm very happy with what they've done as well. So highly recommend that as well. Go check them out on Fiverr, right? Go see if they can help you out. Always worth looking for people on Fiverr that are going to help you to achieve your goals. And that's what I want to do, right? This is my goal, to create this front cover book, and the first part of that goal was to create this title here in Tiger Dragon Rebirth in Japanese calligraphy, and I've achieved my goal. Fantastic. So someone's helped me to do that. So moving on to the artwork here of our protagonist here, Ayame, which I wanted to be the full focus of this manga variant cover here. Again, I can't draw manga. Certainly I could go and learn. It would take me many, many years to learn and get very, very good. So therefore I went to Fiverr again, and I found someone named Deshen who would help me to create this character, right? To turn my 3D character, Ayame Ozaki, our protagonist, into manga format here. So that's what I wanted to do there. They helped me to do that, which is fantastic. The process for this, creating this character here, the kind of design we got here, it started off from here. So this is what we had first. I had this particular image here, And this is what we started to have like reference material. I gave this reference material to Desha and I said, look, this is what I kind of like want. I want my character here, like hitting this particular character here. What can you do? So they're showing me the progress, right? So I'm showing you the process here. So the first thing they did, they sent me back this kind of like prototype here. They changed the angle where the camera is. They've changed the pose of the character as well. And I was like, yeah, this looks a lot better than what I had before. Way better in terms of what I was kind of showing. I didn't want a 1-for-1, right? I like it when an artist puts their own spin on something, right? So if they're looking at this particular artwork here and they're thinking like, well, you know what if we move this here, I put this there, I'm happy to do that. I'm happy to get feedback, right? Because I don't know all the answers. I'm not an expert in front covers. I don't know anything about that. If somebody suggests something and I say like, hey, it looks good, cool, yeah, let's go with it, right? That's the way I am. I'm very open to ideas. I'm not like stuck like, it needs to be like this. The front cover needs to be like this. No, it doesn't. I'm open to suggestions. Like, you're the expert, right? You've got expertise on something else that I don't have on. I'm going to listen to you because you know more than me. I'm going to listen to you and take your ideas and feedback on board and say yes to some and say no to others, right? It's absolutely fine to do that because you both want a win-win situation. I want the best front cover and Deshen wants to create artwork that's going to help me to achieve my goals, and therefore if he does a great job, I'm going to go back to that person again and say, hey, I need artwork for book 2, I need artwork for book 10, I need artwork for book 50, I need artwork for whatever, right? And I'm going to go to you all the time, and you've got a customer for life. Deshen's got a customer for life. There you go. I felt like, okay, the hair needs to be more dynamic here. I didn't like the hair. It looks a bit like stationary. I wanted to be more dynamic. Like, she's doing this move, whatever she's doing, a kick or punch, something's happened, right? Her hair's not moving, it should be flowing. So can we change that? So the next one here, as you can see here, the hair is more dynamic here. So it's a very subtle change. Look at the hair, very important. So if I go back, this was the original first kind of like image here that Deshin gave back to me. And then when we move to the next one now, you see how the hair's changed here? It's a bit more dynamic, flowing. That's what I wanted. Excellent. And then I suggested to him, you know what? Let's make Ayame here the full like image of her only, right? I don't care about this character. Let's remove this character. It's not needed. Let's just have this really cool pose that you've created. I'm happy with that pose. And then let's add the features. So obviously on this left-hand side, the right-hand side here, she needs to be wearing the bandage. Very, very important because it's part of the story from book 1. The bandage is there for a reason. You got to read the story to find out why she's got the bandage. She doesn't have it at the beginning. Something happens, obviously. I'm not going to reveal it here. And then like take away this character and then have the full image of Ayame here, and then we get the final version here like this. And this is great. I was like, yo, this is brilliant. I love this. And I wanted it in the style of Demon Slayer, right? So at this moment in time, when I was creating this manga variant cover, I was having ideas, just thinking about it in the back of my mind. I was watching a lot of Demon Slayer anime on Netflix, and I was like, I like this character designs. I want something like that. And I said to Deshin, can you create this character in the style of Demon Slayer? You've seen the anime on Netflix or maybe on Crunchyroll, and can you create it? And he's done that for me, and I'm very, very happy with it. He's added like a belt here. I thought that's cool, that's fine, right? I ain't got a problem with that. Like I said, if an artist wants to add certain things, that's absolutely fine. I'm happy to do that. I'm happy to take feedback on board and say, yeah, that's fine. Like, you know, it looked a bit weird without it. That's absolutely fine. And then we ended up with obviously this here, where I've just kind of just added a few of my filters on to just brighten up the image a bit. And that's what I've done here. So that's how we ended up with this particular image here from there. So I highly recommend, if you wanna create your 3D character, or you want to create like a manga variant cover, if you want to do something like that and you need an artist, go check out Fiverr, go check out Deshin, right? Very, very incredible artists, and they're working on Fiverr, right? And I'm definitely going to use this artist again, so go and check them out. Worth checking out, worth asking the question, right? You're not going to lose anything by asking a question like, hey, can you do this? How much would it cost, etc., etc. Go find out, right? Because there's always someone that can help you to achieve your goals, and that's what I did here. Go on to help you achieve your goals. Go and find the person who's an expert at that thing. If you like what they do, pay them for it, and they will give you the work you want, right? That's all it is. That's all it is. Just saving time, and you're also doing that person a service, and you're doing yourself service, because now I can just focus on something else, right? And I have to create this. I have to take X amount of hours to learn how to do this particular skill. I've found someone to do that. That's what professionals do, right? Professionals don't just go learn every skill. You learn a specific set of skills that you become super duper excellent, amazing at, and then other people come and find you, and then they hire you and pay you to do that work because they have more important things to do. That's what it's all about. It's all about saving time, effort, and energy, and putting that time, effort, and energy into something that you want to become great at. So finally, a quick overview of this manga front cover. Yes, we've got the publisher logo on the top left. That's a standard in Western comics. We've got our bright red title here, which stands out. We've got contrast from the background here. And then we've got a character here as well, Ayame, in Demon Slayer kind of like artwork, where she stands out as well, where we've got the contrast again. We've got the white background here, then we've got this dark colors at the front. It stands out. Excellent. I'm really happy with the way that's turned out with this manga front cover. And just the whole look of it, I'm just very, very happy with the way that's done. And I look forward to creating more manga variant covers for all of my books and see what we can come up with and see how exciting it will be in the future. So that's the behind the scenes of how I created the manga variant cover for Tiger Dragon and the Rebirth. So what I wanted to do with variant cover A is to make it very different to what the retail cover looks like and what the manga variant cover looks like. So if you have a look at these two particular front covers here, they're not very dynamic or action orientated or anything like that. They're very static really, apart from the hair is flowing in both of them. So there's nothing much going on. So I wanted to, with variant cover A, I wanted to do something more action orientated to get the reader's attention, to get someone who, if they saw this book in a bookstore, it looks different to everything else. There's something different going on here with this particular front cover. So that was my reasoning behind creating this front cover. Now this front cover is actually from the book inside Tiger Dragon the Rebirth. It's just a slightly different camera angle. So I'm going to show you the original render, which is this one here. So this is the original render here. So you can see the pose is very similar to what we've got already for variant cover A. And all I've done is move the camera from outside here inside the truck here, just over the shoulder of this character here. So when we go back to this one, you can see I've just moved the camera around, and now you can see everything else from the point of view of this person who's driving this truck here, just over the shoulder. And that's what I wanted to do with this, is to just make it more action orientated, give some more questions when the readers like looking at this, or prospective readers looking at this, thinking like, okay, what's going on here? There seems to be somebody here dressed in all this black here, kind of mysterious I suppose, and they're on this front of the hood of this particular truck here, and someone's driving here as well. So you will have noticed some similarities to the retail cover, which basically is, we've got the publisher logo on the top left here, which is a standard in Western comics front covers anyway. Then we've got Tiger Dragon the Rebirth logo here in bright red. We've got the dark background, but we've got the red here to add the contrast to that, with our kind of like Japanese style of writing, so to speak, or Eastern kind of style of writing. So hopefully when you're looking at this, or readers looking at this, thinking like, okay, this is set somewhere in the East and not in the West. So we're talking like Japan or China or something like that, right? And that's what I want the reader to do, is to look at this particular font and be like, yeah, this story set in Japan or is based on Eastern mythology, Japanese mythology. That's why I chose this particular font here for the title of this book. Also with this cover here, we have the axis tilted. So it is the Z axis, which is tilted here to the left a little bit. As you can see here, it's kind of tilted to the left. Why have I done this? Because again, it's to grab the reader's attention. When the axis is tilted, it looks strange to the brain. When you look at this, it looks unnerving, right? And the reason for tilting this particular camera angle is to show you that the truck is driving and it's a bit of a bumpy road, so to speak. So that's what I'm trying to do with this. And also, again, gain the reader's attention, somebody's attention. Hey, you're going through a bookstore and this book happens to be there. It looks different to everything else. The angle is slightly different. It's going to grab your attention. So that's something to think about when you're creating your front cover as well. Obviously, don't use it all the time. You need to use it for certain specific situations. You don't want to overdo it. And in manga or in anime, they do this a lot. I've seen it a lot in a lot of the manga and anime, where they really do tilt that Z-axis like crazy, and it really like gets your attention. It does, especially in the anime and manga. And I know why they do it now. They do it to make that particular scene disorientating to you as the viewer, to get your attention and to keep your attention. So that's why they do it. And it's also to do with storytelling as well, with the Z-axis being tilted. So these are all the things I'm learning, I'm sharing with you. That's what I'm doing with this particular video, the front cover here, just to share what I've learned, and hopefully you can use it in your front covers as well. And finally, what I did with this front cover here is I used the thirds guide to place Ayame here to the left a bit, and to place the camera in the right place, and to have this person here more to the right. And we're using the thirds guide to create the composition of the front cover. So let me show you what I mean by this. So I'm going to do this roughly into thirds. It's not going to be exactly thirds, but this is what I did when I did it in Dash Studio. So in Dash Studio, I use the thirds guide a lot for composition. It's something that I learned very early on in my journey. It's like there's a free tool in there in Dash Studio that gives you a thirds guide. Use it. It's going to make your story a lot better. So especially when it comes to the art you're creating. So as you can see here, the majority of Ayame here is to the left here, right? It's in this particular kind of like section here. And then this person here, the majority of them is in this bottom right quadrant here, so to speak. And that's what I want to do. And it makes it more pleasing to the eye. It's more evenly spaced out, so to speak. And we use the thirds guide to help create this front cover, especially for this front cover. That's what I wanted to do here as well. So consider using that as well, the thirds guide, to do your composition for your front cover. You don't always have to do it, obviously. It's just like a rule, right? Rules can be bent, others can be broken. Yes, I stole that from the Matrix, and that's what I did here. I just thought, hey, let me just make this composition a bit better. Let me just use the thirds guide and create this kind of like space here where it looks like a good front cover. And then finally, I do like the lighting here as well, especially here, which is the sun coming. So if you have a look from the original here, remember the sun's over here somewhere, and the lighting is coming through here, and then we've got the reflection here of the steel here, and of the shutters here as well. And I really do like the way that turned out. So I'm really happy with the way this turned out. So this is pretty good. I'm happy with this. I think this is a lot more action orientated cover, especially compared to the retail cover and the manga variant cover. And I wanted to do something different, and I believe I've achieved my goal with this one. So that's how I created the variant cover A for Tiger Dragon the Rebirth. We're going to be discussing the creation of variant cover B here, the decisions I went into creating variant cover B, why I decided to go and create this cover, and how it was created. So let's dive into this video right now. So on the top left, we have our publisher logo, which is a standard in Western comics. So every Western comic usually has their publisher logo on the top left there. And then on the right hand side here, we have our title, Tiger Dragon the Rebirth, in contrasting colors here. So it's bright red here, our background's blue here, and we've got this bright red title here which stands out. And the font is also in Japanese type of style of writing, or Eastern style. So when a reader's going through this in a bookstore and they see this title, hopefully they will see like, oh, okay, this Chinese looks like, this writing or this font looks like from the East, Japanese Chinese, right? And therefore they already have that in their mind. The reader already has that in their mind. Oh, okay, this story is set in Japan maybe, or it's to do with Japanese or Chinese or something to do in the East, right? And that's what I wanted to do with this particular font here. So that's why I chose this font here. And the reason why I chose this color here, red, is because of obviously the contrast we have here with the background and the front, and it stands out. So now let's move on to this main cover here, which is this particular action sequence here. Now, I've already given it away, which is by saying the word action, is if you have a look at the other variant covers, or other covers rather, if you have a look at the other covers, which is the retail cover here, and then you have a look at the manga cover, and if you even have a look at cover A, they don't seem to be too much action orientated. Maybe they're pretty static, right? Retail cover's pretty static, the manga variant cover's pretty static, and then you have the cover A, which is kind of something's happening, but it's not really, there's no movement, there's not enough like dynamic movement to it. And that's what I wanted to do with cover B here. It's like, okay, let's go all in and let's just go dynamic as much as possible, and let's make it action orientated. And that's what that was the decision to create this particular front cover here for cover B. So this cover is actually from the book again, from Tiger Dragon the Rebirth. So let me show you the original panel and what I did. So here's the original kind of like render here. So this is the original panel that's inside the book. As you see, it's very, very different to what the front cover looks like. But this was my kind of like starting point, right? I was like, okay, I want to use this here because I like this particular part of the story where Ayame is like punching this guy in the face. And I wanted to use this as a front cover. So I've gone into Dash Studio and I've gone and turned the camera around and done a lot of things which I will speak about now. So let me just put this down here. So you can see what I've done here from this here. If I just move it to the side here so we can have it side by side. Do a little analysis. There we go. So there we have, you can see it's the same kind of like pose here really that she's got here as well. Here, this is slightly changed as well with the angle here to make it more interesting. And what I've done is obviously turn the camera angle around here. So I've come from here and come around here to the bottom, more or less. And I've done a lot of changes to the camera there. So you can see this is basically the same pose here, but we've just moved the camera around and done a few changes to the pose, to the characters to make sure it fits that camera angle. So from this front cover, you can see that Ayame here has punched this person and they're kind of falling down now. That's what I tried to do. It's very difficult to do with the posing. Posing is very, very difficult. Whether you're a normal artist, a standard artist, like one that draws with actual, with your hand, right? You got that skill, fantastic. But even when you're posing in 3D, you got to think about how the way the body moves, the way the body works. So it's very, very important to understand that you can't just put any kind of pose. You got to know how a body moves, how a human body moves, right? There's a certain way that the body moves. You can't just put them in strange poses. So that's why it took a very long time to actually do this, because I've got two characters here and I've got to like put this pose here where it looks like Ayame is like punching this guy, which she is, and then she's doing this like fantastical movement where she's doing this over exaggerated kind of like punch that she's doing, and I wanted to do that. And then we got this character here where he's getting punched in the face. So I got to show him being punched in the face where he's kind of like the impact, right? You got to show the impact. So he's turned away. He's kind of like the upper part of his chest is moved like that. To the bottom here, and the rest of his body's still there, kind of, so to speak, twisting a little bit. So it's very difficult to do that, but I think I've managed to achieve it here with this cover here. Another thing I've done again is the Z-axis here. I've tilted this Z-axis like crazy. This is like definitely something I learned from manga and animes, watching them. I'm just learning a lot from them. I'm thinking like, okay, I want to grab the reader's attention. How can I do this? Well, let me just shift that Z-axis and make it crazy, right? Let me just do it like this here. And what that does is it adds drama, it adds impact. And again, if this book front cover was in a bookstore and you were walking past it, this will grab your attention because the background is so like disorientating. It's like, whoa, what's going on here, right? Your brain will just be like, that's different to everything else on that shelf. That's going to grab your attention, and it's going to, hopefully the reader will pick it up and start browsing through the book, and that's what I want them to do. Again, I think for front covers, yes, you can use dynamic angles like this to grab your attention. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. When it comes to storytelling though, you don't want to use it all the time in your story, otherwise it loses its impact. So that's one thing to be mindful of. Another reason I've tilted it to the right instead of to the left is to kind of show you that this person's going down, right? So it shows that Ayame is higher up by tilting it to the right, so she's higher up and she's punching him and he's going down, he's falling down. It looks like this person's falling down and she's coming from above and hitting him like that. So it adds to the storytelling, so to speak, of the front cover here. So that's another way you can use the Z-axis tilting, is to make someone look higher up and make it look like that person's falling down as well. So it adds to the storytelling, the impact of the particular action sequence that's happening here in this front cover. Finally, let's move on to the color tone of this front cover. So you'll notice that the color tone that I've used here is very warm colors, and I'm going to explain why in a second, because I want to show you the first cover I made of this one, the first kind of version, and let me just show you that right now. So this is the first cover I made, the first version of this cover. You'll notice that the tone here, the color tone, is very cool, right? They're more cooler toned colors, very cooler, which means they're not vibrant, they're more like receding to the background. As I was learning about color theory, as I was learning from the books and everything, what the color hues, the tones, what they mean in terms of like what warm colors represent, what cooler colors represent. So for example, cooler colors, they usually represent negative emotions, right? Not all the time, most of the time, negative emotions, they're all negative connotations associated with like cooler tones. And I didn't want that, right? I didn't want someone to just walk past because it looks kind of bland, right? You're walking past, you're gonna see this front cover in a bookstore, in a comic book store, and you're gonna be like, well, that doesn't really appeal to you. So it's not gonna appeal to you. You're gonna just walk past it. The colors ain't vibrant enough, and that's not what I wanted to do here, because this is an important part of the story. This is where something important happens, and I didn't want a cooler tone associated with that. I wanted like a warm tone, right? I wanted, like, for example, the sun. When the sun comes out in the summer, everybody wants to go outside and play, right? It's like the sun is like inviting you to go outside. You feel great in the sun. You feel happy in summertime and all that kind of stuff, right? It's positive emotions related to bright colors. That's what I did with the variant cover here. When I redid it, I was like, let me just change the tone of this. I did this in Photoshop. I used a filter that I've got, and I just added this filter, and I said, yes, that's what I want. I want a warmer tone, because this is an important part of the story, and this is the impact on the story as well, where we're seeing the tide turn, so to speak, in the story. That's what I wanted to do. So there's numerous ways you can use color theory to enhance the story of your front cover, because that's what it's all about, isn't it? Your front cover is telling a story, and what you put on there and the colors you use will enhance the story or detract from the story. It's up to you how you use it. So I wanted to do that, and it actually turned out pretty good, because the skin tone actually looks a lot better as well for both characters, and it looks like there's more sunny now, right? Compared to before, it looks like there's a standard light coming through, but now it looks like it's sunny. So it's like a positive thing that we have our character here who's obviously got a bruise here, so she's been through something, right? And I'm not gonna say what it is, gotta read the book. And now she's turning the tide, so to speak, in this particular battle, or what if she's going through. So that's what we're into, creating cover B for Tiger Dragon The Rebirth. So that was an excerpt from the creator's commentary, which is a digital exclusive campaign only Kickstarter reward for the Tiger Dragon The Rebirth campaign. So here I'm showing you right now what you'll be getting with that digital reward, the creator's commentary, which is all these videos here where I dive deep into each chapter, into the storytelling, why I chose specific panels, right? We're going deep into storytelling, comic book storytelling, to make you a better storyteller. So that's what you're going to be getting with the creator's commentary, and more as well. This is just a small snippet of the creator's commentary here, the digital bundle that is available for Tiger Dragon The Rebirth Kickstarter campaign. If you want to read an inspiring heroic origin story that's going to entertain you, empower you, and inspire you, then head on over to the Kickstarter campaign. Link is in description and also in the pinned comments. Hit the notify me on launch button here so you get notified when Tiger Dragon The Rebirth Kickstarter campaign goes live, so you can get your hands on the exclusive Kickstarter rewards only available through the Kickstarter campaign. And until the next video, always be learning.